Hey everybody, welcome to Network Marketing Pro. My name is Eric Worre. Today, I'm with $1 million earners, Kyle and Kirsten Kirshbaum. Kyle and Kirsten Kirshbaum. You have to it's a mouthful to get in one thing.
Right.
And name your kids' names.
Carver, Case, Kingston, Crosby, Kyler.
And what are their middle names? Are there more K sounds?
No, we couldn't do KKK. That would not be appropriate.
Yeah. That's probably right. That's right. Well, welcome.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you.
Yeah.
We both happen to live here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
So this was easy to be able to put together. But today what I want to do is I want to learn a little bit about your story and pick your brains on lessons you've learned and experiences in building your network marketing business. Congratulations on your success. You've done amazingly well while growing a family, while being young, doing all this stuff.
It's a lot.
What's your backgrounds prior to being involved in network marketing, each of you?
So I have a degree in business management from San Diego State, and I've managed an investment banking firm, did some real estate, worked at the Cheesecake Factory for a little while, and of course I'm a mom. So when I was introduced to network marketing, I was full-time staying home with 3 little boys, and Kyle was providing for our family. So
who got introduced first, you or Kyle?
I think they thought that I would have been the good one, but eventually it came. They were smart. They came back to my wife.
he said no.
Yeah, I said no multiple times.
Like how many times did you say no?
Probably at least 2 distinct times. I remember people, that were very important in the company. At the time I didn't know, but they were very important, and I was just like, listen, network marketing and this product, no, that's okay. I'm gonna build real businesses.
Yeah. So your opinion of this was kind of like somebody who is at the end of their rope. Maybe they jump into this.
Yeah. Well, I think I had kind of some of the same stereotypes that many people have, right? That it was something that people did where they had to talk to everybody and they were super annoying, and I was surrounded by a lot of other people running companies and entrepreneurs, and network marketing wasn't something that, professionals were doing, right? It was something that, that guy was doing, network marketing.
Right.
So.
Okay, and so your background, you had all of that background experience. What was your background?
So went to school for marketing. It was communications, the easiest major that I could find. And about 3 years into it, I found the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I remember being in class, a statistics class, and learning about marketing. And then later on that day, seeing one of my professors who was working another part-time job. And there's nothing wrong with working 3 jobs, right? Whatever you got to do to take care of your family. But for me, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this whole trade dollars for hours mindset, like I'm starting to kind of really awaken to what it was. And then seeing my teacher and then realizing I was going through that system, it just didn't make any sense to me. And so at the time, I was working doing sales and was doing pretty well, and had an opportunity to basically kind of start our own sales organization. And so I looked at it, I was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, so it was like, I can always go back and finish school. If I don't take this opportunity, I might not get it again. And so I dropped out of school, moved here to Las Vegas, and with a couple of my best friends, and started a company. So really that entrepreneurial bug kind of was in me, but started in college, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and kind of understanding that philosophy.
Having that, but not quite knowing what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
Just being an entrepreneur was something attractive to you.
Totally, yeah. I remember even leaving the company that I was working for and them saying, hey, we'll pay you more. And me being like, well, this isn't even about the money, right? This is about taking ownership, like starting something, even if all the odds were against me. It really didn't matter, right? I wanted to be able to kind of go do my own thing.
So who was the person that first, the company you're with, who was the person that talked to, who were you talked to first? Or?
Yeah, They brought the bigwigs down and set up
Why?
a special meeting because he's Kyle Kirschbaum. You know, they were like, oh,
so
Kyle's
like,
very
let's
involved.
go get the big
He's very
dog.
involved in internet marketing. He had a quite large company, and they knew if they could get him and some of his partners participating in the company that they would do really well. That would be their big
So
guy.
they brought him down, and
Yeah.
you were like,
Yeah.
And- yeah.
doesn't fit my model.
Well, he was just busy, you know, running a successful business. And I said, oh, well, I'll sign up for the products.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you kind of you came along to the meeting just to see what was going on.
Just because I have a major fear of missing out. I just don't want to miss out.
Don't want to miss out. So you're like, well, let me give it a try. He goes back to build his business.
Right.
And you start.
I just started using the products. I
Yeah.
was not interested in building the business at all. I was building my family, and he was building a business. So I just wanted to use the products for about a year. That's all we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's really interesting. There's been some recent studies talking about the point of entry is not the reason why people join network marketing is not the reason most people stay. Right. Some join for the business, stay for the product. Some join for the product,
Right.
stay for the business.
Right.
And rather than trying to convince somebody to do something else, just go be with them where they are and let them have their own experience, and it'll end up getting to a blended average, and it's okay either way.
Yeah.
Because I come from a school of build a network, build a network, build a network, build a
Right.
network. Customers, build
Yeah.
a network, and that was really wrong. It was not accurate as far as the experience with your story being an example.
Yeah.
So you try this for a year, and then what happens after a year? What was the shift that
all
all
hell
of a sudden
breaks loose,
that
actually.
all of a sudden you decide to do
It
this?
was very distinct, actually. So from my perspective, what happened is the company that he had worked for 10 years to build fell apart. We actually had we had some employees that kind of did some bad stuff, and because he's the guy in charge, his name was on the line. Ouch. And so it was really, really hard time.
When was this?
February
5
of
years.
2010.
Yeah.
So just right at the tail end of the deep crisis.
Yeah.
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 So at that moment, we found ourselves completely broke. 3 kids here in Vegas, couldn't afford to live here, had to move to his parents' house.
Isn't it stunning how fast it can happen?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We can talk about it now without crying.
Yes,
Yeah.
no.
But-
The reality is, and most entrepreneurs have gone through it at some point in their life, you could be sailing, and then in a moment, the economy does something out of your control, somebody does something shady inside of an organization, and pretty soon it's just boom,
Yeah.
the company's gone. And not only that, they're coming at you for more,
Right.
and all of a sudden it's like, how did this happen? This wasn't part of the plan. So you find yourself in this situation, and I've been there too, where, okay, let's push the reset button.
Yeah.
Let's bail to the extra bedroom or bedrooms in the parents' house, and which is never fun.
Yeah.
But thank God it's there as an option.
Yeah.
And then what? Then what was your thoughts?
So what happened is those same leaders who had approached him the year before now came to me and said, "Hey, Kirsten, you've been using the product for a while now," and they sat with me and they sat down in my living room actually and said, "Hey, we know where you're at. We've been there before.
It's
we
a
know
really
exactly."
good lesson. The really good lesson here is they didn't just say you're just a customer and give up on you.
Right.
Which many people do. They sign them up as customers, forget about them.
Right.
They don't talk to them again.
Yeah.
But they stayed in touch.
Yeah, they did.
And they continue to believe in your potential. So they have this conversation with you.
Right. So they're sitting with me and saying and relating to me, "Hey, I know where you're at. I know what you're feeling, and I know how scary that is. And just trust me. If you just follow the system, it's not complicated. It really is just, sampling, following up, talking to people, and working on yourself personally." And my mentor, I have a few, but this one particular woman, she looked me right in the eye and she said, "Kirsten, do what I tell you to do, and I promise you I'll get you back to your house in Las Vegas." I was like, okay. So I tell people this often. My why in the beginning really was simple. It was, no one's going to kick me out of my house.
Right.
No one's going to tell me where I can live or where I can't live. And so for about 2 years, I worked really, really hard. And I'm talking not part-time, like day and night, excited and feeling that fire, building that momentum. And almost 2 years to the day, we moved back here to the house in Las Vegas.
So let me ask you this. What were you doing while she was doing this?
I remember when well, first of all, I'll just say that in our marriage, even from the beginning, I knew my wife was amazing and beautiful, and that's why I married her. But we've always shared similar goals, right? We always wanted to be a part of a cause that we knew mattered. We wanted to, at some point, find a way to be financially independent and help other people do the same. Like, we talked about these goals, right? And we went about starting businesses, working at Cheesecake Factory, just trying different things. And I remember when she came to me and she said, hey, listen, I think I really want to do this. And I said, okay, these are like my infamous words, right? I'm like, okay, you go do the girls' club, and I'm gonna build some real businesses, right?
The big boys.
Right. So I supported her because of this vision that we both shared, but I still didn't get it. I couldn't see it. And honestly, I'm super grateful that she was as intuitive and led to really be able to see what it could offer our family, because I didn't see it. She had that gift to be able to kind of be in tune with what this meant for our family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women are strong.
They are. Us guys, we can't even multitask.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're strong, and you talk about the intuition.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
The woman says, hey, I got a feeling. That's, you pay attention.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we don't as guys. Okay, so a couple years go by. What happens in your business over those couple years as far as growth and success and income?
Well,
first 2 years.
The first 2 years.
Building years.
Yeah. I went from part-time. There's a program in my company where it's like a 4-month program where you just go all out. So it was like day and night. I'm doing events every single day, traveling mostly back here to Las Vegas, because that's where my network really was. We were in Utah, but I was like just racking up those miles on the 15, coming back here once a week, sometimes maybe twice a month, just depending on what was going on. So I had one friend who I had enrolled that very first day that we went to the event, and I thought, well, I don't want to miss out, So she and I had been, sharing the product and just kind of casually doing it here and there. And I came to her and I said, hey, I'm going to do this, and you're on my front line, so let's do this together. And she followed me. Again, I think sometimes in this business we don't always know. In fact, we don't know everything. Right. But it's that trust. It's like, well, I know you, and I believe that you have a big vision, and I want to hitch my boat to your boat, or your train. I'm going to be on that train. So I built really rapidly. I went from kind of the beginning leadership rank, it's called silver, all the way to diamond in about 5 months.
What did that mean as far as income?
It means on average from $2,000 to about $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to about $10,000 a month after 6 months or so.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Of actively building.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then at that point as well, of course, as most people know, that's not necessarily like, oh, and now, okay,
Yeah, right.
It's great. Now I'm diamond. Let's maintain diamond. And who else wants to be diamond? But that's because I love it. It's, you don't have to do that. But yeah, so that was about that $10,000 a month mark for 6 months, and then I actually jumped to the next rank, which is Blue Diamond, and on average that's about 25 a month or so, and then it took us a year and a half after that to jump to the highest rank.
When did he wake up?
That 20.
I'll tell you. I remember. So I remember we were in her parents'. They live in southern Utah. We were in her backyard, and it was a Sunday. And we were getting ready. We had just kind of started a new business, so I had new employees showing up, people to train. And I said, hey, I got to get back to work. And I'll never forget, she looked at me in the eye. I think she was like on a hammock to make this work with our kid. And she said, why? And I go, well, what do you mean why? She goes, well, I don't need you to go back to work. Right? This is what she tells me. And I go, well, what do you mean? She was like, well, I make enough now where if we want to go to San Diego for a week, we can, and we can, work in my business if we want to, do whatever. And it hit me really hard that she had accomplished in 2 years, right? Or, really in that 6 to 12 month time frame, during nap times, weekends, up late. I would babysit, watch the kids if she needed to go do something. Like, I really supported her, but she had accomplished in that time frame what basically I had never been able to accomplish, right? In multiple companies, very successful, but, in traditional business, try going on a vacation for 2 weeks, right? Everything breaks loose, right? Or, just the stress. And she had done that. And so it really made me look at us and say, wow, wait a minute, what's going on here? But still, I had no idea how I was going to fit in. I had no idea really about anything.
The girls club.
Right. How do I fit in? Like, do I really believe in this cause, that she has created? Because in the beginning, it's easy to not believe, right? It's just you and whatever few people, and you guys are kind of viewed as the crazies. And this is all business. And then it starts to gain momentum, right? Simon Sinek talks about this, where, the few jump on in the beginning, and then it hits this pinnacle where people can actually believe in it from like a mainstream perspective. And I was getting to that place, but not seeing the big picture yet.
So it's what's interesting to me, the Garth Brooks song, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
Right.
What would have happened if your company didn't blow up in 2010? Think about where your life is now.
Powerful question. Yeah.
Because if it went perfect and you're making your couple $100,000 and you got your your big boy title.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which most guys that's what they want. They want to be able to say, here's what I do, cocktail parties, and be respected or whatever, be that part of the community. But the fact you guys get to work together, you work around your family, building something, have an impact on other people's lives, not just a lot of business is binary. Right. There's winner loser.
Right.
You get the account, somebody else loses.
Right.
Right. You get the customer and you kind of get them for a little extra because you get some extra margin in your pocket. Or all that kind of stuff. So it's just like there's this conflict. Here, you win by contribution. Right. You win by helping. You win by value.
Right.
So it's I wish more people understood it, but I think sometimes, like, you went through a process of, hey, these products are good, and then desperation caused you to open your mind and look.
Right.
And you still weren't ready, even with desperation.
Yeah, I was looking to another answer. Yeah. Right.
Right. So that process, took what, a couple years probably all in before you went, and you got enough social proof and financial proof,
right,
to be able to say, well, maybe 1 + 1 adds up to 10.
Right.
Maybe the two of you together can do something spectacular.
Yeah.
Right.
So how did it work when you stepped in? What was that transition like?
It was. Of course, I was excited. It was a lot of things. I was excited to come home. Right. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, we're home. Like, I can be with my kids. I can take them to school in the morning. I can take them to the park. And then I was like, well, wait a minute.
Some people do that, and then that's all they do.
Right.
They don't actually engage in the business.
I really wanted to. I think the hard thing is when you've built businesses from the ground up, right? You know everything. You could do any position. So here I was with that experience coming into her business, like, what do I do? Do I start calling girls that I knew in high school? And and I did end up doing some of that. Right. But I really, my mind is very systematic, right? I look at systems and processes and think to myself, well, if that person has that skill set, I can get it too. It's just a matter of they're doing something that I don't know, or they know something I don't, they're doing something I'm not. So I said to myself, Kirsten, what skills do I need to master to pull my own weight?
That took some humility, though. A lot of guys aren't going to just step up and say, honey, tell me what I should do. They're like, they're offended if somebody asks, if the wife says, maybe you should ask for directions, when you get lost.
Right.
They want to be that guy in charge.
Yeah.
And tell me about the demographics of within your company. What percentage is female? What percentage is male, like at your company conventions?
It's 90% female, and then you have spouses, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of us skeptical husbands hanging out in the back rows.
Yeah. So that for some people would be I'm going to go find my own thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found it. I'm going to go find my own thing.
Sure.
But you found a way to make that work inside of this organization. What was the skills that you told him he needed to develop?
Yeah, in the very beginning, he created a program for our team, and it was all about leadership. So he took one of our favorite leadership books, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and created a program for everyone to follow. And he actually did all the calls and had them show up, and he created Google Docs where people would Google Docs, that's what it's called, right? Yeah, see this is not my thing. He created all the systems for people to report and get points, and we had this awesome vacation. Everybody got to go on with us for being a leader on our team. So that was the first of many leadership-based programs.
Did you recruit and build also?
Yeah. I remember hearing a speech that was titled "The $1 Million Mistake," and it was basically about a network marketer who didn't invite somebody on their chicken list to use the product or whatever it is, and somebody else invited him to a meeting that they taught, and that person enrolled with somebody else and ended up becoming like the top earner. I heard that
happened to me.
Right, I heard that once, and I said, okay, who's on my chicken list? Because I need to learn the skills. I'll use my upline to communicate authentically to these people that I really care about, but let's go speak with the professionals that we would love to work with, that we'd want to go on vacation with, that we could strategize with, like the people that I knew from my previous world. And so that was really scary. It was. I remember some of our good friends.
We were surprised when they said yes.
Yeah, we were like, no way, high five. We're like, this works. But we're so grateful. I feel like that, that chicken list principle or diamond list, whatever you want to call it, has such power in it. That we, a lot of times...
And even if they said no, the fact that you faced your fear.
Totally.
And you went out there and did it, you realize it's not as scary as you thought.
Right. Makes it easier to talk to other people.
Yeah. Start there, and your brother or sister's easy.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
talk to me about... Here's my view on this. You guys are making 7 figures a year. You know how big that is? It's huge.
Feels big.
To be in the top 1% in the United States is $400,000 a year household income. Top 1%. So to $1 million, it's like point. You're way up there, right? What is different about you than somebody in your company that's not making anything? What's different about you than somebody who stopped at $100,000 a year? What's different about you than somebody's making $20,000 a year? Seriously, I want you to think about, what are the things that differentiate you? What are the habits? What are the thoughts? What are the disciplines? What are the strategies that you do different? If you just line up everybody and then you guys stand out, what did you do different than those people? What makes you special?
Well, there's a few things that come to my mind when you're talking about this, and it's kind of a sensitive subject because I don't want to come across as like, well, I'm better, because that's not how it feels. But number-wise, with what you're saying, to start off, I think that I want it, and it's okay to do this business and to stop at $100,000 a year. You know what I mean? That's okay. And I think some people might be okay with that level of growth. And so that may be the reason why. Not that they couldn't, but they just don't want to, or they have other priorities. Things come into their life. From a very young age, though, in terms of like who I am and what it is that drives me, I've always known who I am. I've always known very clearly like that I was meant to do really big things. And it's a feeling like inside of my soul that drives me to keep going, to be very confident. I've always been a very confident child, and I'm the oldest child. I was kind of the golden child, and so that made it easier for me. My whole family knows that. It's okay to say that. it was easy for me to be confident. And so what I'm saying is this is a business, and really life in general is about progress, right? Mm-hmm. So when I have someone new join my team, I can kind of see where they're at in their progress level, right? And there's certain things that will allow someone to progress quicker versus someone who it might take longer. But I don't look at someone and say, oh, you can't do it and you can do it. It's just a matter of time, right? So when you have odds stacked against you, like maybe you don't have a very big network, maybe you don't speak clearly, maybe you don't have an awareness of who you are as a person or anything, then you're going to have to start there, right? You're going to have to start there in your personal development journey. So I look at this very much as when we came into this business, our personal development journey was already pretty developed so that we were able to add our product and our company and our belief, and it skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing network marketing, you look at who you are as a person just in terms of what you've put into yourself. So I think that's what contributed probably the most to...
So big drive.
Right.
Big personal development focus.
Right.
What else?
You know, there's this quote that comes to my mind, and that is, comparison is the thief of joy, mm-hmm. right? And so, like you said, I think that it's one of those subjects where it's not really a question of are you better, or it's a question of being clear about what you want from the very beginning. I feel like clarity is like one of these mythical things that we chase. But as soon as we get clear, like the lights go on, breakthroughs happen. And I would say we were very clear. Kirsten was extremely clear from the beginning. And then when I joined her, we really felt like divinely guided to this path. But from like a practical perspective, like applying things, I would say two things. Perspective. We knew that we had run other businesses. So we looked at this and said, hey, it's going to be hard. In fact, it's going to be harder than you even think it's going to be. It's going to require skills. It's going to require making sacrifices. It's going to require saying no to certain things, right? So we had that perspective, but the one thing that I feel like takes the cake on everything else is our commitment to going to events. We committed very early on, as soon as we could afford, to not just go to our own company event, but other events outside of our industry or from our company. And from those events, we pulled away. I like to look at events and say, at every event, if approached correctly, there is $1 million idea, or don't even put a monetary value. Just say there is a breakthrough idea that will transform your business. And we started pulling and grabbing those breakthrough ideas. Mm-hmm. And we started applying them with like massive intensity. And we can look back at our entire journey, and every breakthrough happened at an event.
Yeah, that's what I believe. That's where leaders are born.
Totally.
And all of my breakthroughs, my whole career, was at destination events, not even local.
Right.
Where you had to get out of your comfort zone, out of your own bed, and be somewhere else for a few days. So I hear personal development, I hear laser focus, I hear hunger. You're hungry.
Right.
Chicken list.
And chicken list, you're willing to face your fear.
Yeah.
But the hunger piece is interesting to me because why do you think you were hungry? Do you think it was because you had and then you lost and you wanted to get back again plus? Was it about, I think people join sometimes for inspiration, but most of the time they join for desperation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They've just gotta. You had a little taste of a nice life and you went, oh man, this sucks. To have it and lost it is a painful, ugly thing. You're just like, I don't belong here. Right. This is weird.
Someone described it as they were watching me, someone who's known me for a number of years. They said it was almost like a boomerang. You know what I mean? Like, here she is. Oh, now she lost. Oh, she's right back. It was like, it snapped back, because I had
to them it snapped back, but you took years.
They didn't see the years of struggle of all of it. But yeah, it was like it's because my vision's clear. My perspective was clear on exactly what I wanted. So I use a lot of meditation and guided techniques to write down exactly what I want. I record my voice telling myself what I have every day. We both do it. And it's the secret sauce.
Sure. Fascinating. I was talking with, I coach a few top level people. Don't have a lot of time to do it, but I had a long coaching session yesterday. Mm-hmm. This person is number 3 in their company. and really wants to be number one. So that's the whole focus, is to get to number one. And it's this hunger, right? And I said, well, why? Why number one? And what happens if you get to number one and you only hold it for 3 months?
Right.
And now you're number two again. Are you going to be miserable? You know, what is it about number one? You know, it went back to his parents and his mother and wanting to get, you know, the big hug that he never got, you know, as a kid. It's like, well, okay. Well, let's talk about going way past number one then. Yeah. Let's not get into a competitive thing. Let's just, you know, here's what you need to do in order to be able to get to number one. But what if you did 3 times that? And we put together a strategy for that, okay? But so the hunger sometimes, his was about searching for validation from somebody who's passed away. Right. That was his. Sometimes it's just like, I don't belong here. You know, it's like you get dropped into a homeless shelter with no money and no ID. You're not going to stay there long. Yeah. Because you don't belong there. You know, you'll end up running the place in about 15 minutes. You know, you'll have it organized and clean. Okay, everybody line up. It's like, you're not going to go, oh, okay, you know, here's where I belong. So I think it's some of that. Talk to me about tactics. Are you a big one-on-one person? Are you a group meeting culture? Do you use tools more than anything else? What's been the driver when it comes to how you do presentations?
Presentations for us are done mostly in group settings, so home meetings, a lot of business meetings, you know, things like that. So I prefer
small group.
Yeah, we call it teaching classes. You know, we're educating people.
You're doing a class.
Yeah, we're doing a class.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's the culture throughout your organization. Do a class
for the most part. I mean, of course, it's okay to do one-on-one.
Sometimes people do a one-on-one class if they want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the product is best experienced in a group setting where, you know,
you
people
get
are
some
having
feedback.
experience.
Yeah, people talk about it a little bit back and forth. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. What else, as far as techniques, have you used that you would say are a big contributor to your success?
I remember when I realized what the skills were in network marketing, right? You know, strategic planning, goal setting, prospecting, inviting, following up, teaching, closing, finding builders, and mentoring people. And I kind of like recognize those, okay, those are like the 7 skills I have to master. And in our company, there is no business opportunity DVD, right? So I remember going to events and hearing about this amazing DVD, and I was like, man, where's ours? You know, we don't have that. And so, what we had was our stories. Yeah. And I remember learning, just naturally kind of developing how to create 2 stories, how to create your product story and how to create your business story in a very authentic, genuine way where we could go to lunch if we were friends, we could be talking about whatever, I could say, hey, what are you up to? And you would tell me, and at some point you would say, well, what are you up to? And I could authentically, because I've learned this skill, I could authentically decide, do I want to share my product story? Do I want to share my business story? Do I want to blend the 2? You know, to do that. And so as soon as we learned that, we learned like what made a good product or business story, we wanted to teach our team so that they could use something. Because I think a lot of people in network marketing, you know, when somebody says, hey, what do you do for work, right? There's like, well, I just joined this thing. And you're like, I don't want to talk to that person, right? Or, you know, and so we sometimes struggle to find this authentic voice. So feeling like you could learn a skill that will allow you to communicate with especially a friend or even a stranger, authentically how you feel was really liberating. I mean, for me especially coming into her business, like trying to find my voice, because it was different, was really, really helpful to learn those 2 skills. And so we teach those, and obviously we you know, our goal is to help our whole, you know, everyone in our organization master those 7 skills.
Yeah, really smart. I will tell you, the learning how to tell the story, and also the fact that you're different, being the guy builder inside of here, different is good. You know, just so long as you embrace it. You don't act like the oddball. Right. You know, you act like you belong in it. It's important. I want to switch gears for you and ask you to answer a question, each of you, that maybe you haven't answered, maybe you haven't even thought of, okay? So probably didn't prepare for this. I want you to think, after you started building your business, really building, what was your worst day? your worst experience, your worst emotional place you ever found yourself in over the course of your building career now, and what did you do about it? Because a lot of people look at you guys and, hey, look at this beautiful, perfect family. It was a straight, rocket ship to the moon. They never had any problems. They never had any issues. They never had any challenges. We all know that that's not true. So I'm sure something's popped into your mind.
I'm like, is she going to say what I think she's going to say? No.
So...
Yeah, there's two things, and I'm like, do I tell the less painful one or the most painful one? And you asked the most painful. Here's the reason why it's the most painful. It's the most recent. And so I think I want people to know that even when you get to this level, it doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes, and it doesn't mean that I'm not continually learning and doing my best, but sometimes failing miserably. So there have been a couple people that I've enrolled recently or, the last year or so that have my heart. Like, I just want it for them so bad. And sometimes I think that when you're at this level, some people might look at it and be like, oh, it's easy for you now because you're, this big time diamond, whatever. And on the other hand, it's actually sometimes harder because people are looking at me going, well, you have to make sure I'm successful and, well, you did it. And I tend to skip the struggle. I don't want to talk about the struggle. It was really hard, And so people sometimes look at me and think, oh, well, she didn't struggle that much, right? So I think that although I didn't mean to, I may have painted that picture for some of my leaders over the last year that, yeah, I struggled. Oh, yeah, I remember that time I lived with my in-laws. Yeah, that sucked. Okay, let's move on. You know what I mean? But really, talking about how hard that was. So recently I've had a couple of people, I wouldn't say quit, but kind of quit, take a break, don't know if they trust me, don't know if they want to do this business with me anymore. And it's broken my heart. Completely, just trying to figure out, man, how did I do that? How did that happen? How did I attract this situation? And if there was something I could do to make it better, I would. But it's going back and looking at a situation and going, wow, I made a mistake. I should not have treated the situation that way. Even though I meant well, it was a really poor decision to paint a picture that wasn't necessarily clear. There's so many different misinterpretations of things that happen, but I feel bad.
Let me offer you just a comment, first of all, because I can see it's fresh, right?
It is, I know. I'm like, do I talk about this one?
That's okay, it's okay. First of all, you're not responsible for somebody else's success or failure. No matter how much we try and drag people over the finish line, they've got to want it. And they have to take responsibility for all the things. So the way you told the story isn't the reason why they're not doing it. They might have used it as an excuse, but it's not the reason. The other thing I will tell you is inside of this, it's our pain and our struggle that builds connection with another human being. So never hide your struggle. Never put on the fancy clothes and forget about being in the basement of the parents' house, right. Or whatever. Tell the story about packing up your house when you left, and what that day felt like. Because you'll connect more as human beings with other people when you do that than you talk about, hey, look how cool we are. Come on out on our boat. Let's go do this other. You know what I mean?
Right.
So how have you coped with it? What have you done? Are you still coping?
I'm coping. It's for me, it's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of prayer because I just spiritually, energetically, I feel like I've done everything I could, and so it's just kind of
release it, release them, love them,
and
move forward. But go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it also comes from from a very simplistic standpoint, right? It's this parent and child type relationship where you look at your children, you love your children, and let's say they tell you that they want to go make a decision that you don't agree with, right? How difficult is it in that moment to say, you know what, I want to save you from that, right? I don't want you to have to experience that. And so it's this really tricky situation where, you want to remove the struggle. You want them, you want them to go from enrolling to being right here at this table with us, feeling all of that.
But without the struggle, they never make it.
But without the struggle, right? And, we look at our own situation, we're like, well, the struggle made us who we are.
Of course.
It makes us who we are. But that still, especially at this level, it is still very difficult to not want to say, hey, you know what? let's just get them all convention tickets.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Let's do this or
You want
that.
to be the
Let's
parents
get them all GoPro tickets.
Right,
You want to be the parents that enable the kids.
Right.
All the time. I want to
They
spoil
never
them
feel any
rotten.
pain,
Right, you know, but
which is probably a bad idea.
It's difficult. It really is to sit back patiently and say, you know what? I respect your decision, and let them figure out their way. Especially in this business, because your goals are tied to their goals.
Yep.
Right? So you have to be patient enough to see them maneuver and still be there to come back and welcome them back with open arms, like a mother and father would with a child, saying, hey, awesome.
Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult now than it was before. And I don't think that sometimes is something that gets talked about a ton, but
you feel there's a little bit of success guilt in there,
right?
That you feel like you got to drag people over the finish line. You don't. Everybody's going to find their own way. And the same thing with kids. You know?
Is this about network marketing or kids?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. The mistakes that I've made as a parent have been not letting kids feel consequences. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just take away the pain anytime you can, because you can.
Yeah.
You know?
We do that.
How about you? Darkest day.
We're both super optimistic people. So this was really difficult for me to kind of find a moment. But I would say that, and this has been something that we've had to work on, but we've had, some heated discussions in our marriage about our roles, right? And, really, really heated. And just about, not knowing what our roles are, and her being in this place where, she's a mother, we have 5 boys, sometimes, I've built this whole big thing, and, I'm doing my best to fit into this whole big thing, and sometimes her feelings are like, well, you just take it over, and, let me be a mom, and me being like, well, not feeling like I can totally. And so we've had many moments in kind of figuring out, both being pretty strong personalities, really figuring out where we fit in each other's in this business. And that has been really, really difficult. And I know I didn't give a specific example.
I understand.
And I know people like to hear that specific moment, but I mean, there's been, a few moments where we're in the office, and kids are running around, and I'm like, I can't get anything done, and Kirsten's like, is what you're doing, an income producing activity? And I'm like, I don't know if it is, I think it is, and that's, it's a challenge, and it's far, far from perfect.
Right.
If somebody were to say, hey, give us your magic schedule, right? Yeah. You have kids, you guys are perfectly balanced, and the fact of the matter is we have an ideal that we really try to focus on and we learn, but it's a moving target.
Here's the truth. I'm really hard to play with. And
no.
It's what he's talking about. There's not one moment, because there's moments all day long where I'm like, oh, I'm in. Oh, I'm not in. Like all this stuff.
Sure.
It's very raw, and he does a really good job hanging on and being really sweet and patient.
That's
Thank
real.
goodness
That's relationship, right? That's business.
Yeah.
It's never a straight shot to the moon. It's ups and downs, and you hope that this year you're a little bit ahead of where you were last year at this point.
Well, sometimes I don't want it to be a mentor session. I'm like, we're just business partners.
Stop mentoring me. Let's just have dinner.
Seriously.
Don't talk
more
about the
placements.
business.
No more. Where do they go? I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. This has been amazing and great value, and I'm sure our audience is going to just love getting to know you and relating to your story. What I'd like you to do now is each of you look into that camera right there and give, whoever wants to go first, and give the audience a little piece of advice. You know this audience. They want what you have. They want success. They want to get out of the grind. They want to stop crawling. They want to go big. They don't quite know how to get there. They're hoping to find some amazing people like you to run with and hang out with. So, they might not be able to do that physically right this moment, but they can kind of through the power of technology, you guys can have a moment and give them some advice. What advice would you have for them to go out there and pursue their dreams?
Ladies first? Me? Okay. I think a couple things that I want you specifically to know, and I feel like what I have to say is for a specific person who is watching. And that is that a setback is a setup for a comeback. No matter what the circumstance may be, whether you've lost everything, whether you've been doing this for a couple years and you're just super frustrated, you're ready to quit, whatever it might be, understand that this struggle ahead of you or that you're in right now, it has gifts and lessons that only you can find that will allow you to tap into this person who gets to lead and inspire and give back. So that's number one. The second thing that I want you to know is that we believe in you. One of my favorite quotes is that sometimes we have to believe in other people's belief in us before our belief is strong enough in ourselves. And I want you to know that we believe in you, that Eric and everyone in this network marketing industry, we believe that you have the ability to succeed in this at whatever level that might be, and that your story needs to be shared. And if you quit and your story is never shared, there will be thousands of people's lives that will not be touched. They won't be inspired, and they'll settle for where they're at. So honor yourself and your divine purpose and push through the struggle and know that we believe in you and what you're capable of doing.
Thank you. Awesome. There are two primary choices in life. One, to accept your conditions as they exist. And two is to accept the responsibility for changing them. Right. So when I look at myself, and I want you to really think about where you're at right now, if there's a piece of advice that I could give you, it would be to look at your level of belief in three key areas. And the first one is your level of belief in yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, write down, get out a pencil or put it in your phone. Write it down on a scale of 1 to 10. How much do you believe in yourself right now that you can do this? 1, all the way to 10. 10 is like, I'm here, I see myself being interviewed by Eric. 1 is, there's no way, I just quit, I'm not even gonna do this anymore, right? So write it down now, and then later, maybe in 90 days or so, look at how you are able to increase your belief in yourself. What are the things that you need to listen to? Who do you need to be following? Who do you need to be listening to? And what activities do you need to participate in to increase your level of belief in yourself? The second part of belief is how much do you believe in network marketing in general? Because every single person that I mentor on some level or another has an MLM block. Oh, well, I'm doing this thing, I don't know, yeah, I'm kind of into it. Or, or a 10 is like, I'm totally doing network marketing. This is amazing. It's the best thing ever. And let me tell you why. And I'll be honest, in the beginning, my level of belief in network marketing was pretty low. I was ashamed, and I don't even know where it comes from. It just is there. It's like this collective consciousness that some of us choose to believe in. So look at your level of belief there about network marketing. And following Network Marketing Pro, in my opinion, is the best way to increase that level of belief. Start following people who are successful, and you will start increasing your level of belief. And of course, the third level of belief is your belief in your company. On a scale of 1 to 10, how proud are you to represent your company and the name? Do you know the owners? Have you visited the headquarters if that's a possibility for you? Are you an advocate for your company? Because when you are, people will look at you and they'll always say, oh, that's that girl or that's that guy. I know who that is. If I want to know anything about your company, they'll come to you. So your level of belief in your company as the vehicle that will absolutely take you to where you want to go is really, really important. This is an exercise that I do with a lot of my new team members. We start with their why, but then we also move into, so you have your why and it's really strong, but if your level of belief isn't high enough where you believe that the activities that I'm going to coach you to do will lead you to get your why, then you're not going to get very far. So really important to start there.
Kirsten?
Thank you.
You're a rock star. Kyle?
Thanks.
amazing. Thank you for sharing your wisdoms, your ideas, your stories. So fun to hear more behind the scenes, the real stuff.
Right.
That's what inspires me. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our interview. That's our show. I hope you got value from it. And if you did, share this with somebody else that might get value. Like, comment, share, tag, all the things that we do out into the social media world so more people can see this. More people need to hear their story, because if they get some inspiration like you and do something with it, that's why we're doing this in the first place. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. My wish for all of you is that you decide to become a network marketing professional, that you decide to go pro, because it is a stone cold fact that we do have a better way. Now let's go tell the world. Everybody have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.